Hey guys, this is Stuart Zissou, producer for Dark Age of Camelot, and as some of you may remember, I promised you a making of video in my last producer's video. So basically, I don't like reneging on my promises, so I've gotten a bunch of people who happen to actually know something about this artwork together so that we can talk to you guys about how it was made. So again, I'm Stuart Zissou.
I'm CJ Greb. I'm the current lead artist in the community department, and I was at one point the original co-art director for Dark Age of Camelot.
And my name is Kai Schober. I'm the community manager for Dark Age of Camelot.
And my name is Eric Polak, and I'm lead concept artist here at Mythic, and I'm the one that illustrated the Dark Age of Camelot 10-year anniversary poster.
Golf clap.
Woohoo!
Golf clap. Yes.
Mean props.
So this image is just me trying to work out, all right, let's try to get all the races in there. Let's try to get as many different representative classes of all the different kind of play styles in Dark Age as we can.
Yeah, I actually remember coming up to you, CJ, and saying, hey, we want this big piece. Can you come up with something? You're like, yeah, I got these great ideas, hold on. And then you send us this line drawing with just the text on there, elf and lurricane or whatever. And I believe my first impression when I looked at it was WTF. I had no idea where any of it fell, what you were talking about. And I remember going back and forth. You're like, oh. And so finally you had to do this line drawing that we show here with actually, the free flow characters leaning in on each other. Then I actually understood, and it's a great idea. I hope everyone agrees, but this is actually where we started.
It's a great lesson in art theory, from absolute abstract to something slightly less abstract.
Okay, yeah, with that concept in mind, the next part was a lot of work for me. We had to get references for all the screenshots, for all the monsters and characters, classes. We decided that we wanted to go with the epic armors because they are the most iconic nowadays. A lot of people wear dragon armor and it's dyed black. That might not be so interesting on an artwork, although it might have been easier for you.
And when we started going back and forth this, I got the feeling this was all pretty useful for you.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know a lot about the game going into it.
So you'd been working on Warhammer mostly, right?
Yeah, I came to Mythic when we were doing Warhammer, so this was before my time. So it was very helpful to have you three available to me to provide reference, or if I messed up on something, to correct me and make sure I was getting things right.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you had a lot of people coming back. You took the feedback really well, and I think it shows.
Yeah, I wanted everybody to be happy with the image and feel like they contributed to it. So
mission accomplished.
I think that's important. So this was the first sketch I submitted. I tried to incorporate all of the characters that CJ had placed on his sketch in some sort of visually interesting manner.
So there's at least one important change, I think, from CJ's concept to your artwork. Is
it doesn't suck?
No.
CJ.
The rearrangement of the three central characters.
That was based on the first image,
exactly.
The first ever painting we had done for Dark Age, done by an artist named Therese Nielsen. And we wanted to homage that original image, and I arranged them identically.
Yeah, that ended up getting changed a little bit.
Booyah!
It did, and you gave lightning to an eldritch, which also gave some discussion.
Yeah, I didn't know that was not appropriate for an eldritch. So
right, you knew she was a spellcaster. Yeah. So, why not have lightning?
That actually made it through pretty far.
That's kind of my go-to.
That it did, yeah.
Until it was like, oh wait, let's look at the center of the
I don't know,
painting.
did you actually ever see it at this stage, or did we send it to you later?
No, I saw this. I was actually the one who said, if that's an eldritch, we may need to get you a few more screenshots.
Yeah, and then we did almost motion capturing of how a spell is cast on the
I think I had to get like 20 screenshots of every second, just hitting print screen.
Well, the Eldritch spells are all very, very cool, so glad you went through that process.
Especially the void ones.
Yeah, I thought they were very cool too, so later on you'll see an example of how that kind of incorporated it into the image.
Of course, this was just the first stage. We wanted to change some stuff. We already gave some feedback. If we could go to the next stage, you see that, for example, the Triton is gone. We now have all three dragons, so Gyapinulva is present.
Well done on the pronunciation.
Yeah, very good. We learned long ago that underrepresenting one of the realms is a good way to get us in trouble with our fan base.
As is overrepresented.
So we were trying to be very careful to make sure that all three realms were given equal love in this image.
So this was just a color study once everybody was fairly happy with everything that was in the image. I just wanted to take a shot at it just to see if I was liking the direction and everybody else was comfortable with it. I wanted to have like a fairly bright background, and I was using yellows and oranges, and then to complement it I was using some blues and violets in the foreground.
Yeah, one thing you don't know about is I was showing these to the team, as you were doing, all the different thumbnails, the different parts, and I showed it to the team. I'm like, so this is an idea of what it's going to look like, and they all went, wow. I mean, this is just adding the lighting to it and whatever. Everyone wanted it for the screenshots. Everyone wanted it for the desktops. It was great. I actually have this cycling through on my desktop between all the thumbnails, because it's just, even though it's a rough as it is, it's so strong with that bright right in the center, moving away to the darkness to the forefront and also to the sides, which is just awesome. We hadn't changed the lightning yet. I think this is the part where we went,
this is probably the stage.
But it really showed how it was all coming together and everything.
Yeah, I think the final image, I lightened up the characters a bit just so you could see some of the intricacies of their armor and whatnot. But I mean, it's similar. Here I started painting in the figures. I pretty much painted it from right to left. I guess I kind of like the Minotaurs, so that's where I started.
As does one of our devs.
No,
all he plays is
Had we already replaced what was it that was around the Minotaurs originally?
You can see it in here. It's the Pygmy Goblins that are on this one. But everyone should know Pygmy Goblins are the one in Albion from Lioness.
Right, so it's the Pygmy Goblins attacking the Minotaur from Midgard, I believe.
Yeah, it's a Minotaur Thane, and not quite right.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the first very delicate emails that went back to Eric.
I'm glad you spent all the time rendering it and doing all that. But
I literally spent a day.
We keep all sharp instruments away from our artists in this company.
But
I really like how they are harassing him, and it's so fantastic. And
of course.
Yeah, I like the Minotaur's expression. I thought it was one of the better things in the illustration, so I didn't want to lose that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we came up with quite a good solution, I think.
Yeah,
because
I think the wee wolves.
Yeah.
Here we're just continuing further. I think at this point you could start to see the wee wolves being replaced by.
The wee wolves.
So the Eldritch, her spell has been changed at this point. It's more the negative energy thing.
Yeah, and you had to once again listen to some feedback and rearrange the way that some of the characters faced.
Yeah. They were interacting with each other in wrong ways. It looked like some characters were attacking people they shouldn't be and whatnot. So.
Do you always work in grayscale first, or was that just for this piece?
No, this one, just because the amount of characters in there, I kind of wanted to make sure the values were hopefully correct. And certain characters were popping the way I wanted them to. And so that's why I was just worrying about the values, and then I'd throw some color overlays later on.
And you also teased us a bit here, because you were working from one side to the other, and it was right about this point where we're all like, okay, he's going to get to Legion. This is going to be awesome.
We were so hyped for Legion.
I know.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and he starts working around Legion.
Right.
So when you had to rearrange the characters, that they are not fighting between the realms, the same realm, I was really sorry when I told you about the Whale Walker, and then you did it within a minute. How did you flip it? Is it just a mirror? Or?
No, when I was working on this, I figured there'd be a bunch of changes throughout it. That's kind of the nature of things.
Hard to believe.
So whenever I would work on a character, I would pretty much keep that character in a separate layer.
Right.
So that way I could manipulate it down the road, and it wouldn't be that big of an issue. So I just literally flipped her.
Okay.
And then just painted a couple things here and there.
I should have told a lot more changes.
See, this is the danger that artists get into, because now we don't look like miracle workers anymore.
Yeah.
And there's just a horizontal flip option in
There's also a pencil option in Photoshop. It doesn't make it any easier.
The downside to that was the file was ginormous.
Yeah, I bet.
It was huge.
So here we are. Oh wow.
Yeah, so this is me painting Legion.
In real time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There was smoke.
But here, I took some liberties with Legion, but just because the character is so complicated and complex looking. So I did simplify it a little bit. I don't know, from the screenshots that I received, like there were kind of these 3 heads with the sinew, a muscle, and then there were a couple skulls around that I eliminated just because I wanted the focus just to be on those 3 heads. And here I'm just kind of, feeling out what I wanted to draw.
I love how many times you redraw the hand. Like, not there, not there. There we go.
Even in the finished illustration, I'm not that happy with it. But
really?
Yeah.
When is an artist ever completely happy?
Yeah, never happy. Yeah. Do you always use the color wheel when you the color picker?
Yeah. I usually do that. I usually I'll create a couple swatches and throw them down, and I'll just use those quite a bit and adjust the values however I want to use them. I mean, you can see at certain points I'm just grabbing certain grays here and there and using those.
So the idea right now is just to get the high level values, to get the spacing of everything, to get the highlights, all that kind of stuff in there. At what point do you go, okay, that's what I want. Now I have to start, really shining it in, really, blending it out and stuff.
I guess once I get to a point where, like, if I squint my eyes, I kind of like the way it looks. Then I'll start going in there and working out the details, or I'll zoom out a lot, just so you see the image as a whole.
So do you do it section by section? Like, okay, I like that skull, I'll start drawing that in?
Yeah, I usually tend to work on a piece or part of it, and then I get something that I like, and then I move on to another part. Sometimes that bites me because I'll end up having to change something later on, but it's just comfortable for me to work that way.
Oh, I love this little trick.
Yeah, warp tool in Photoshop is awesome.
Look how much more depth he got just at that little, just pulling him out just a little bit like that.
Help.
Gave roundness that wasn't there previously. It's awesome.
Do you use a lot of references for the hands or for the faces?
Yeah, I snap pictures all the time for hands because I'm terrible at... I mean, I have certain poses for hands I can just draw from memory, like the comic book poses I call them. It's like a fist or open hand kind of coming towards the viewer, things like that. I can fake. But if it's
there's
a
a lot of zombie
pose,
hands here.
Yeah, well, those ones I could kind of fake.
Oh, okay.
But like a lot of the characters, like some of the foreground characters, I snapped pictures just to make sure it looked somewhat correct to me.
So is this Legion also in a separate layer like you were talking about before?
Yeah, until I proceeded to color. And then I flattened the whole thing down just because the file was getting too large.
Yeah, it was enormous.
And then I started overlaying layers using overlays in Photoshop, and even then it was still probably close to a gig by the time I was done.
God.
So, the summary of your work.
This is
Real
awesome.
time again.
See, there he goes. He goes around Legion there. I love that.
And there we go with color for the first time.
And the whole picture.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's a beautiful piece of art.
It really is. I wanted to put this on my bedroom wall, but my wife said no. I'm sorry.
Some people.
I know, really.
We have a large plotter printer by where Mythic office is, and so we printed this out at about, I don't know, it's probably 2 feet tall by 6 or 7 feet wide. And we put that up on the walls, and it's right in front of one of the doors where people come in the morning. And it's amazing to watch people just
they walk in and stop.
Yeah, it's awesome. The first day we put it up, I could hear it every time the door opened, and then the footsteps would stop right in front of the piece, and then they would stand still for about a minute or 2 minutes.
You look for the really small things. There's always something new. There's like, oh, I didn't realize that piece of armor. Oh, I didn't realize you got that in there, or whatever.
And it really is. That's one of the things I like. It's a massive battle, just as we know it in game. It's not organized, one faction here, one faction there. It's just...
So what would the Battle Herald say about this?
The Battle Heralds would say, why are the dragons in the frontier?
Good point. And the kings. And everything else in there.
And Legion.
Because it's fun.
Is this a new event?
No.
God, I wish.
My dad's gonna die.
Oh.
It was a lot of fun to paint. It was a nice change of pace from doing concepts all day. So I hadn't gotten to illustrate anything in a long time.
Well, we hit you with a big one.
Yeah.
You want to illustrate? Take this.
So, as promised, we gave you guys a making of how the artwork was done. Myself, CJ, Kai, Eric, we all pitched in to hopefully give you guys a behind-the-scenes look at how artwork like this is created. It was a lot of fun for Eric, I hope, right?
Yeah, definitely was.
A lot of fun to create, and hopefully...
It was a lot of fun to watch being created.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it was. And hopefully some of that fun got over to you guys, so let us know what you think. We have the lithographs in the BioWare store of the smaller version of this, and
Signed by Eric.
oh, that's right.
Every single one.
Are they really signed by Eric?
Oh,
They
yeah.
will be.
Well, I get a free one, right?
No. Wait, here, give me money. Okay,
Thanks
now
a
it's
lot.
free. No. So check it out in the BioWare store and give us your feedback. Hopefully you like this as much as we do. Yeah, and I want a free one too. We'll
So
see.
do I.
Eric doesn't get one now. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
See you in the frontiers.